Hi, my name is James. I'm a grateful recovering addict and alcoholic. I post this live stream every weeknight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check out the join button if you'd like to join. Tonight, relapse, learning from our mistakes. If we don't learn from our mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them. This is true for addiction, relapse, alcoholism, relapse, as well as life. A simple scenario would be when we were little, we touched the hot stove. If we didn't have the simple desire to avoid pain, we would touch the hot stove again. But essentially, with addiction recovery, it's a little bit more complex. And then the guy just left. And then he just left. Nobody knew where he went. He was never seen again. So how do we learn from relapse? I'm here to tell you my experience, what I've recognized over the past 25 years of relapse and recovery. I have been drinking since 14. I am now 43. I happen to have discovered a new way of life through the spiritual steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and had a paradigm shift, a spiritual awakening. What I've learned up to this point has been incremental and gradual. That isn't the case for everyone, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Relapse can be a part of the recovery process. But if you don't learn from it, it will be part of the active addiction process. You will have relapsed into active addiction instead of recovered into active recovery if we don't learn at least a little something from our last relapse. Matube, what up? Back on the wagon, day 7 for Matube. What'd you learn? Where'd you go? What happened? How long before you actually picked up a drink or drug, or a drug-like drink, or a drug like alcohol? How long, or what were you noticing on your way to your first drink? This is one thing I've learned. Relapses happen in the mind, in the emotions, and then physically with your drug of choice. For me, it happens months, years sometimes before I actually pick up. It's key to recognize what you were like before you relapsed. It's a common thing that I hear in the meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous when people tell their stories of their relapse. They said I had stopped going to AA meetings. That's the 100% thing that I hear, and that's what happened to me. Every time I've relapsed, I had drifted away from AA meetings. It's plain, it's simple, and the very first thing I am doing now in this new recovery in 2024 is staying close to the pack of AA. There's other things. Did you start hanging out with people from the past? Did you start going to places from the past? Were you doing things that you used to do in your past? It is said you're either in recovery or you're in relapse. It becomes more and more apparent which you are in the further you go along in this journey, in my experience. So a lot of you on here are still learning the lessons of relapse. You're still relapsing. Day 7, no drink. I got you. I didn't say that you were, I said, what happened, you said, I'm back on the wagon, which means you've tried to recover before, you've tried to be sober before. What happened that started you drinking to where you had to quit 7 days ago? What were you doing? What weren't you doing? Usually it's taking your will back. In my experience, stop me if you cannot relate. Why are my teeth whistling? I don't like it. In my experience, when my will is in charge, when James is driving, when James's will be done, is when I will gradually, if not rapidly, lead back to drinking. Stress and thinking about my health. Thinking. That is always part of it. This is a disease of the mind. For me, if I start any of my sentences with, I was thinking, I can just end it right there. The less we think, the better. The more we give our will, our thinking, our decisions, our opinions over to the care of God as we understand it, the better. This is what I've learned. I also learned every time I relapsed to come back to AA and take something more from them. Being the stubborn alcoholic, I would take one more thing that they suggest and try not to take it all. Here I sit after finally taking the very last puzzle piece that I was resisting, which was the God idea, the God of my understanding. I had avoided it to the bitter end, and it was almost the bitter end multiple times. This time I have taken it with no qualms. It's a leap of faith, but I'm putting more faith in it than I am in myself. If you don't know what that means, it means my ideas no longer reign supreme. I ask a God of my understanding every day to let thy will be done, not mine. Thy will, not my will, be done. My will for 25 years has gotten me jails, institutions, and death. And a bunch of other crap. So I gave it up. I surrendered my will to the care of God as I understand it. But it hasn't always been that way. I've been trying to recover since I was 18. I decided I was an alcoholic when I was 18, decided I was going to quit at 25 before I'm under a bridge. 25 rolled around and consequences included DUIs, jails, and maybe a couple, no, I hadn't been to detox just yet. I didn't have to start detoxing till my late 30s, or my early 30s, to be honest. Early 30s, late 20s. But it's been a long road, and I've learned a lot from relapse. The key to relapse is don't beat yourself up. Don't drift into morbid reflection. This is going to be useless to you and your recovery. It's going to be useless to how you can offer your experience to other alcoholics and addicts. So, I gradually learned. Why did it take me so long? Well, we're all unique, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. I am Polish, for one, but I have ADHD too, which is classified as a learning disability. And so what? It's taken me this long. I am incredibly grateful that I'm finally here. I am incredibly grateful that I found a God of my understanding. I am incredibly grateful that I could thoroughly work the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous with God this time, and not just my arguments of what God is. God has to be a power greater than you, that you hand your will and your life over to the care of. I'm no longer driving. My decisions are based on God's will, and sometimes I forget. It takes practice. The more I practice, the more consistent it becomes, and I am grateful. There are addicts and alcoholics that don't make it back into the rooms of AA. They make it into the ground, 6 feet under, or the streets, homeless. I am extremely grateful. I have no idea. I mean, I feel like when I was relapsing, when I was in active addiction, I feel now asleep and not spiritually awoke. With what I know now about kindness, love, and tolerance, helping others, trusting in God, cleaning house, I wonder where I was for 25 years. I literally felt like I was taking a 25-year-long alcoholic nap. In the bondage of self, I stayed. So every time I relapsed, I would learn slowly, and sometimes I wouldn't learn, and sometimes I would be too either fed up, beat up, or stuck up to take the suggestions gifted to me by the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. But in the end, being desperate enough, having been delivered the gift of desperation, G-O-D, God, I went to a group of drunks, G-O-D, God, and I told them, tell me what to do, I am willing to do it all. Honest, open, and willing, H-O-W, how, that's how I did it. I was honest, finally, and I've always been honest, but the disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and there were some things I wasn't honest about, like the fact that I had been going on my own will and my own decisions and opinions my entire life, like there was no higher. That's now ridiculous to me. I felt like I was asleep to the fact that I was treating myself like I was God. I was taking actions in my own life and living my life like my ideas were the greatest. Unwillingly, I was doing this, and inadvertently, I didn't know. We tend to think this way because of our environment, media, the way our people raise us and stuff. And just the world insists that if you put your mind to it, you can do it. That is false. Our minds are limited. No human power can relieve us of alcoholism. It's in the book, and through my immense experience correlating with the book, I now take it as a fact, and I do not question the book. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I realize how that sounds, but well, it's true. It's so true that I'm grateful. And from constant relapse, and not all of us have to relapse. I said relapse can be a part of recovery. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. And when it does happen, when you do relapse and you're pounding on the table, how did this happen? I know I'm powerless over alcohol. Why did I start drinking again? What do I have to do? What is the deal? How did it sneak up on me? What the hell, man? When that happens, keep calm is what I did. Just learn to do and figure out what you were doing or what you weren't doing before you ended up drinking. Because for the alcoholic, to drink is to die. No matter what your drug of choice as an addict, whether it's alcohol or heroin, to use your drug of choice for the addict is to die. Maybe not that day, but it is dying slowly. You either get busy living, recovering, or you get busy dying, aka stay in relapse. You either get busy living, stay in recovery, or you get busy dying, stay in relapse. What up, Noah? What do you recommend for someone like me to stop vaping constantly in every situation? That's somebody like me too. First of all, I don't recommend you do it right now. Don't quit vaping nicotine right now. But when you do, go to CVS and get nicotine lozenges. I get 4 milligrams and bite them in half, so I have twice as many, and I'm gradually getting less and less nicotine. You're not going to want to do a mint instead of vaping. It's not as fun, it's not as rewarding, it's not as comfortable. But if you really want to be a dude that doesn't vape every minute of every day like it's a little pacifier binky, then you're going to want to choose character over comfort. What the mints do is take the edge off. They're not as pleasurable as the vaping, but you don't want to vape. It's annoying, it's expensive, it's hazardous to your health. Bonnie, all of them, or I don't know about Tucker Carlson, but Eric Clapton and Buzz Aldrin are on this channel. If you look up in another tab, or after this live stream, Sober James Buzz Aldrin, I have an hour-long video of him speaking on his alcoholism. If you look up Sober James Eric Clapton, I edited an hour-long video of him speaking on his alcoholism. I was just at Walgreens, should have picked some up. Some of them you will like, some of them will give you hiccups. They're kind of weird, but if you're serious about stopping vaping, that's what I recommend. There's also patches. I call these Nick Tacs. They're the size of Nick Tac. They're the size of Tic Tacs. I call them Nick Tacs. And you can get either Nicorette, which, they're expensive. So I get the CVS. One of these is like $14. I had a doctor tell me you can just do the mints. If you like nicotine, you can do the mints. They're virtually hazardless. They're not smoking. Yeah, Bonnie, I have Eric Clapton and Buzz Aldrin both. I have both their speaker tapes on this channel, and I edited in visuals. On the Buzz Aldrin one, you may not notice at first, but keep an eye on the moon. Just keep an eye on the moon, and you'll notice something about it. While he's speaking, there's some visuals that I put in there, one of which is a moon, because Buzz Aldrin went to the moon. Yes, even a man who has walked on the moon struggles with alcoholism. It does not discriminate. This is a guy, and he talks about it in that speaker tape, who is very scientifical, very analytical, very intelligent. Obviously, he's a freaking astronaut. Yet he struggles with the same thing we all struggle with, drug abuse and alcoholism. How can that be? Because logic does not fight this thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how logical you hit it with. That's only one facet of addiction. Intellectually, you try to come at it, that's another facet. There's a spiritual facet, which is a face, like a face of a diamond or a prism. There's a physical facet, There's a social facet. There's a financial facet. There's a subconscious facet. There is the logical and intellectual facet, but that's just one. The spiritual facet is the one that will take it from you. A power greater than you. Logically, intellectually, physically, when we're walking around like a worm on a hook. When you get the spirituality, the hook, you're removed out of the water where alcoholism is hunting your ass. Let's say alcoholism is a largemouth bass. Without spirituality, you're just a worm on a hook thinking you're smart, strong, and you may be smart and strong, but you're not smart. You're not as smart and you're not as strong as that largemouth bass. Yeah, the subconscious facet. I said that because subconsciously we're unaware of things that we may or may not do. This is what comes in handy with looking back at your relapse with hindsight. You can look back with the 20/20 vision of hindsight and say, subconsciously, I was hanging around old friends. I was going to old places. I was doing old things. I was listening to older music I used to party to. Subconsciously, I was being led by my addiction. Subconscious. So it's basically, the subconscious is a very elusive consciousness that, like, subconsciously I could be biting my nails and I don't even know it until I am conscious of it. Subconsciously is like, have you ever been on a long drive? Or you're driving home from work and you've driven that way hundreds of times before, but you're driving home from work and then before you know it, you're home and you're like, I wasn't even paying attention. How were you not paying attention? Well, your subconscious was driving because it's been that way. So, I was just saying there's a lot of facets to addiction and there has to be they have to be answered with that. In my opinion and analogy, they have to be answered with that facet of recovery. So you have to have spirituality in your recovery. You have to have a physical answer to what you used to drink. You have to have a social answer to the social places you used to go, or the social people you used to hang around with, and the social functions you used to go to. You have to answer that with replacing that with the social means of recovery. What do I do now? I used to go to the bar. I used to go to concerts and drink. I used to go to parties. What do I do now? Well, there's disc golf, there's pickleball, there's working out, there's swimming. You know what I mean? There's traveling. I was at my sister's for the 4th of July. Old friends were there too. Everyone was drinking. I didn't. Good job. Good job. This is also something you can learn from. Situations like that. What did I do right? How did I feel? How close was I to drinking? It's all about going. The journey is all about kind of analyzing where you are, being aware, intuitive, self-intuitive, and also if you relapse, you got to analyze that shit too. What happened? You know what I mean? What really happened? You can't just say, oh, my friend was there and they were pressuring me to drink. That's not it. There's no human power that can relieve you from alcoholism, and there's also no human power that can get you to drink except for yourself. You know what I mean? So you got to get honest and be like, what really happened? Well, I had stopped going to meetings. I had stopped reading the big book. I don't even have a sponsor anymore. That's what always happened to me when I ended up drinking. And it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. You talk yourself into not going to meetings. You talk yourself into firing your sponsor. Our experience can help others no matter how far down the scale we have gone, Bonnie. Our experience. So I try, and I'm getting better and better at not doling out personal advice to individuals like yourself. What I try to do is tell you how it has been working for me and what I have learned, and hopefully, it applies to you and it can help you. But especially to the alcoholic, and it tells this, it says this in the book, Working with Other Alcoholics. Any drunk that you come preaching to is not going to listen. It's one of the reasons that Alcoholics Anonymous works, is because it's a program of attraction, not promotion. Now, every alcoholic has gotten sober and wanted to preach from the mountaintop how they did it, and partially out of pride and also partially out of wanting to help others. They want to preach from the mountaintop. I go to, and well, that's essentially what I'm doing here. I'm preaching from the YouTube mountaintop. But more and more, I'm practicing the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous because it is a power greater than myself. And that's where I experience God, is in the rooms. And it's right in the traditions it's right in working with others. The chapter Working with Others. Alcoholics will shut down if you come to them with this whole, you know what I mean? So you kind of just let them find you, which is, in essence, what a YouTube channel is. You guys find me if you need me, if you're interested. You won't ever find my YouTube channel knocking on your door and being like, watch me. If you don't want it anymore, you unsubscribe. And that's kind of an attraction, not promotion kind of thing. But there's a little of both in there. But anyway, my point is, good for you for not drinking today. One day at a time. Any day that's today, just don't drink. For me, it's any day that's today, just don't drink and go to meetings. I don't think about drinking. I don't know who believes me. I hope you do, but it's hard to believe. But I don't wake up and say, I'm not going to drink today. Maybe I should. But I wake up and say, God, help direct my thinking from self-centered motives. Thy will be done, not mine. That's what keeps me calm and happy. And that's what keeps me away from drinking. When I didn't do that, when I said I'm too good to pray and I got my own ideas of why I shouldn't pray and why God doesn't exist, I ended up drinking over and over again for years on end. So this time I came back and I said, give me the God thing I want to know. I need a God I can pray to, I can believe in. Give it to me. And I chose a sponsor who used to be an atheist damn near 15 years ago and isn't any longer, and has been sober for damn near 15 years. What's up, breakfast for dinner? Wasn't in the mood to watch a video. Wanted some connection. Well, how do you feel, breakfast for dinner? What's eating you up? You lonely? Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Dangerous moods for the alcoholic. So it's good you're here. Welcome. I'm glad that you find relief that I'm here. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, this can drag an alcoholic into relapse. With hindsight, after your relapse, when you've cleared up your head and you're not drinking or using any longer, you can look through hindsight goggles and look back and say, all right, I was pretty lonely there, and I would get hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Day one back last night was bad. Happy to be here. I'm happy you're here. It's good that you're here because we're talking about not beating yourself up for relapse. Relapse can be a part of recovery, but it's only if you learn from your mistakes. It's only if we learn from our mistakes that relapse can be a part of recovery. If we don't analyze and pick apart how we relapsed, what we were doing, what we weren't doing, relapse is a part of relapse. So when we relapse, we have two directions: more relapse or recovery. Get busy dying or get busy living. To get busy living, we have to figure out what we were doing or what we weren't doing to lead to the relapse. For me, it is, without a doubt, first things first, Alcoholics Anonymous. I wasn't practicing Alcoholics Anonymous. I wasn't going to meetings. I didn't have a sponsor. I wasn't reading the literature. I wasn't working the principles in my affairs, and I relapsed every single time. History is an awesome illustration of what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong because it's facts. Facts. So that's me. This time also I was like, bro, you can't be an agnostic in recovery. Addiction is war, and there are no atheists and there are no agnostics in war. That's why they call them foxhole prayers, because even the atheist in the foxhole while getting shell bombed is going to be spitting out our fathers and praying to God. There are no atheists at war. So that's when I came back and I was just like, if this is war and I've lost some battles, I'm damn well going to win the war. And I'm not going to do it. God is. I'm not going to do it. The principles of AA are. Thank you, breakfast for dinner. If this video brings you value, hit the thumbs up. If it doesn't, hit the thumbs down. If it does bring you value, share it with a loved one. If it doesn't, share it with a hated one. And think about joining by means of the join button. It helps me get to meetings, aka gas money, and it helps me put $1 in the basket in every day that I go to a meeting. It also helps you because you get cool emojis, badges, and exclusive content on this channel. All right, now that business is taken care of, let's get to pleasure. As far as recovering from a relapse, there's going to be 3 days where you're pretty uncomfortable. Depending on the amount of alcohol you were doing, you might actually need to go to detox. Now this is circumstantial, everyone's unique, but the alcoholic is constant, and alcohol withdrawal is a real thing, and it can kill by means of seizure and other CNS, central nervous system complications. So if you were drinking for a long time at very heavy doses, there's a chance that your nervous system will start tweaking out and seizures are possible. I myself had a grand mal seizure and woke up on a stretcher. And thank God it didn't happen behind the wheel of a car or in a pool or while I was holding a child or something. But the immediate time following after a relapse is an uncomfortable time. This is where comfort over, or character over comfort. The saying, choose character over comfort. Addicts want to feel comfortable, and we want to feel comfortable instantly. That's why drugs and alcohol, and drugs like alcohol, appeal to us. But recovery, where it is not as quick as chugging booze, recovery, sobriety, delivers everything that booze promises, but then takes away. Another answer for people who have learned from their relapse, another answer I got, because whenever you relapse in the rooms of AA, you're always welcome back. And people will ask you, what was it like out there? What'd you do? What was your, they'll ask you why you started drinking. What did you find out? And they'll try, our collective experience saves lives. And they're trying to find out they're trying to get more knowledge. We are trying to get more knowledge on how we can stay away from relapse, because it's cunning and baffling and powerful, and you don't see it obviously coming. So one guy I asked, and he was almost 2 decades sober at this point, but whenever he used to relapse, he discovered through constantly questioning what caused my relapse, honestly, he began to become more honest about the answers. And his final discovery and revelation was, every time I relapsed, I had lied to myself and believed it. AKA, this time will be different. AKA, I can drink only for the weekend and then quit on Monday. That's trying the same thing and experiencing the same results, or it's trying the same thing and expecting different results, which is the definition of insanity. So he was lying to himself and doing the same thing, which is drinking, expecting different results every time. That's what I did too. Every time I drank as an alcoholic, I lied to myself. I said, this time's going to be different. I can have some power over this time. I was doing the same thing, drinking, and expecting different results. I was getting the same results. Jails, institutions, detox, and death. Every time I relapse, I have to go back to a hospital. Jails, institutions, and hospitals, aka death. A month or more of drinking and I get sick my kidneys. So what I've learned is that we have to learn from our relapse if we are to be in recovery instead of more relapse. If we don't learn from our mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them. This guy told me he learned that he was lying to himself every time he took a drink. He learned that the alcoholic, if she drinks as an alcoholic, he or she is lying to themselves. The addiction is lying to you in your own voice. This time will be different. You deserve this. It's a special occasion. You're entitled. You're a Navy veteran. Of course you can drink. You're going to have power over it this time. It'll lie to you. It'll tell you, you have a year of sobriety. You must be over alcoholism. It's a lie. When we drink, we're doing the same thing and expecting different results. The definition of insanity. So that's what he learned. I took his experience and related to it and said, you know what? That's me too. Or yeah, your addiction will tell you that moderation is possible. I'll only have five beers over the course of this 2 or 2.5 hour outing. It won't be too bad. Well, I've tried that before and ended up drinking 30. I would do the same thing and expect different results. Why is it my kidneys, though? Michael says. Shouldn't my liver be what bothers me? Alcohol affects every cell in the body, all the way down to your skin. Liver, kidneys, pancreas, lungs. Your liver and your kidneys are the first. Kidneys filter food and beverage, the toxins. Well, kidneys, they create urine. Anyway, my kidneys used to hurt too. It feels like your lower back's hurting. Yeah, your kidneys always hurt on a heavy binge. But yeah, that's kidneys hurt. Get some electrolytes, drink some cranberry water, drink some Pedialyte, Propel, Gatorade, pickle juice, milk. There's some other things in there that you can get electrolytes. What you need is hydration and electrolytes. Alcohol is I always forget the word for it, so I'll just go with this one, a dehydrant. Alcohol dehydrates. It may be liquid, but it dehydrates. So you can feel a lot better by just drinking water and electrolytes. The first thing they do to you if you're an emergency patient from alcohol and you need to detox and you need to be safe is hit you with a banana bag. It's hydration, it's electrolytes, it's vitamin B12, it's folic acid, and they put it intravenously. So it's dehydration is one reason your kidneys hurt. Another, Siri, why do your kidneys hurt if you've been drinking a lot? Your kidneys can be harmed by high blood pressure and toxins as they process alcohol components into urine. Your kidneys are responsible for processing urine. And as we're pissing our lives away, drinking, a lot of alcohol and a lot of toxins, a lot of sugar, and a lot of crap go through our kidneys. Breakfast for dinner, if you're feeling really horrible right now, which I have no doubt you probably are, water, if that's all you got. If you have pickle juice, chug it. Here in order, here's how it goes. Pedialyte was the best I discovered. That can get expensive, so I started getting Propel. The reason I didn't get Gatorade is because it's mostly just sugar. Propel's a nice in-between. Pedialyte is the bomb. You can also drink pickle juice. Milk also has electrolytes in it. Whatever you do, you hydrate and especially get those salts and sugars back into your body. Alcohol it's the most deadly drug on earth. Statistically, it kills more people every year than all other drugs combined. I don't just say that because I'm just pulling it out of my ass. You can look it up right now. Alcohol kills more people per year than all other drugs combined. It destroys every cell in the body. It can turn your skin yellow. As we know, skin is an organ. Turn your eyes yellow. It can mess with your teeth, your lungs, your heart. Obviously, the liver and the kidneys, pancreas, spleen. It messes with your sexual organs. It messes with your colon, your intestines. Alcohol destroys every cell in the body. It is literally the most dangerous drug on earth. It's a beast. So everyone calls it a hangover, but it's really just recovering from the extremely damaging, destructive, diabolical, and deadly drug of alcohol. So hydration is first. Try to eat breakfast for dinner if you can. But hydrate first. You may think I just drank 30 beers. How much hydration should I get? False. Alcohol is a dehydrant, for lack of a better word. I don't know the word for it, but it basically dehydrates. And it's a diuretic. You might say, why do I pee so much if it dehydrates? Well, why is your pee so yellow? And basically, like, you know what I mean? A fully hydrated person will pee basically clear. Well, it's so yellow because there's so many toxins and, well, I don't know all the reasons, but it's gross. Listen to what your body tells you during and after a relapse. After a relapse, listen to what your body tells you. What do you need? It's most likely rehydration and electrolytes first, but it's also nourishment. Alcoholics in the grips of a relapse and a bender are malnourished. We don't absorb nourishments even if we eat. And even if we eat, we don't eat nourishing foods. Bonnie says, I hate that I can't drink anymore because most of my family and friends drink, but it crept up on me, progressed, then way later in life went out of control. Right. Yeah, well, you get over it. When your life starts to return in recovery, you definitely get over it. I introduce myself as a gratefully recovering alcoholic because I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my alcoholism. I'm grateful for everything that's happened to me because without it, I wouldn't have found a spirituality and be where I am now. And my worst day in recovery is better than my best day drunk. But you'll get over that. Unfortunately, we do have to cut ties with some friends and some family because you got to change people, places, and things. A paradigm shift is a paradigm shift. You change the way you perceive life. We're no longer hanging out with those drinking buddies. This is critical. You're not going to want to do it. And that's the one thing, that is one of the things I learned from my many relapses is I didn't want to give something up. I didn't want to change something. Me, what I want ruled. 1 second, I'll be right back. Yeah, that's something we all go through is what am I going to tell my friends and family that drink, especially the alcoholic ones? Well, they understand. As it turns out, they've wanted you to stop drinking for a long time. What up, Jay Tabor? How was your 4th? And I'm grateful for you, Bonnie. B1 is super important for heavy drinkers, life or death. Important. Yeah, that's probably in the banana bag. That's why they call it a banana bag. There's a bunch of B vitamins in there, probably. But every alcoholic hates that they can't drink. But that passes once you awake. Once you have a spiritual awakening, you don't want to go back. Let's just put it this way. Diabetics hate that they can't eat cake. Paraplegics hate that they can't do jumping jacks. Epileptics hate that they can't drive. You know what I'm saying? We're alcoholics. We can't drink. And as Norm Macdonald said on stage, he's like, yeah, I'm not sure, but, alcoholics, I think you got the best one. I think you got the best disease. I mean, you just drink booze, and that is the disease. And of course he knew he was joking. Yeah, Jay Tabor hates that he can't go do a bunch of drugs. You know what I mean? But what do we know anyway? What we thought we knew got us drunk and in jail. Heavy drinkers need to take B1 every day for brain health so they don't get Wernicke's. Well, I'm not a heavy drinker anymore. It sucks how easy it is to forget just how awful it feels when you are sick drunk and yet you forget. I guess that's a good part about bottom. Maybe that's bad enough. We have built-in forgetters. It may sound weird to you, but for me that's a household term. Built-in forgetters. The alcoholic has built-in forgetters. When we're sober for a long time, we forget how bad it gets when we were drinking. When we're drinking for a long time, we forget how good it gets when we're sober. If you attend Alcoholics Anonymous, which I recommend any alcoholic works the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, but you will hear the term built-in forgetters. It does suck, but it's just the way it is. The disease lies to us in our own voice, tells us it wasn't that bad, you've gone this long, you might as well drink. And you're instantly reminded. One of the benefits of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous is that people come in that have relapsed and they remind us. When I came back in after I relapsed, I reminded a 20-year sober alcoholic that it doesn't get better. The look on my face, the bruises on my body reminds long-time sober individuals that, oh yeah, I can't drink. I definitely don't want to go back to how I was at the height of it. It was disastrous and embarrassing. John Venturini, good evening. Just got back from Pittsburgh. I don't know, man. It must be different for a drug user because I know exactly how bad it was when I was smoking crack. I was living under a motherfucking bridge, my guy, and will never ever do it again. Yeah, I remember. I remember too. I was living on, park bench, shelters, friends' houses, homelessness. Yeah, I remember too, but there, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, there will come a time where I don't for a split second, and nothing is in between me and my next drink but God. AA was very cliquey for me, but maybe just not the specific meeting for me. Yeah, I went through this problem with AA being cliquey too. There's a saying, this is a very important saying. AA is not about the people. AA is about the principles. AA is about the program. Principles before personalities. Remember that. Also, there's a bunch of different meetings and not everyone is the same. And I don't go to some meetings because they're super cliquey. Like young people's meetings. I'm 43. I don't go to young people's meetings, even though some older alcoholics do. I don't, it's way too cliquey. It's way too, I don't know. It's not bad. They're recovering in their own way. I don't go. There's usually there's more of a sexual energy, a lot of young tight bodies and shit. It's principles before personalities. I'm in AA for the principles to remain sober. I'm not there to get laid. I'm not there to make friends, and I'm not there to go to some clique. So that was something I had to go through sober, was, why have I never fit in with cliques? Why have I never fit in with, cliques? And my people of AA answered my question. You're here for the principles. As soon as you forget that, you're not here to be in a clique. You know what I mean? And I have awesome friends. I have a network of friends. I have better friends than I've ever had in my entire life. I have friends that'll help me move. I have friends that'll drive me to the hospital, to the airport. I have friends that'll be there in the middle of the night if I'm in trouble. Those are friends. So that's that. Principles before personalities. You will discover who your people are. So those cliques, I had trouble. I had trouble with it because I started drinking at 14, so I never learned through high school, middle school, high school, and in my early 20s, I never learned how to be a person, really. Your growth is stunted emotionally and socially, and then when you get sober again, you're now relearning life. Joe Rogan was just talking about this. You'll hear this in any recovery circle. When you started drinking and using, you stopped growing or slowed down drastically. Any feelings you got, you drank towards. Happiness, celebration, sadness, rejection, we drank over all of it. So we didn't get any of the benefits from experiencing those things. I didn't go to prom. You know what I mean? My relationships were destroyed because I wasn't emotionally or socially mature. Now, in recovery, and every time I have begun recovery, I've learned a little bit more and grown a little bit more. Right now, I'm growing at an exponential rate. I'm growing like a freaking transformer. And it feels amazing. Some of it's scary. So here's an example. There's an event coming up. There's a bunch of these cool people that, you've always wanted to be accepted by. And, now's your chance to be normal. But you don't drink. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel scared. And you're going to live right through these without a drink. The date's going to be coming up. You're going to live through the fact that you want to call it off because you're so scared. There might be a girl or a boy there that you're attracted to, and you're all this fear, all this false evidence appearing real is hitting you every night and day until this date occurs. You're going to now learn how to not cancel it. You're going to learn how to not get drunk on the way to the day. You're going to learn how to not get drunk the day of. You're going to learn how to keep the commitment. You're going to learn how to face it with courage, dignity, integrity. You're going to learn how to be uncomfortable in your skin. Without drinking, we have to experience uncomfort. Uncomfort serves a purpose. Pain serves a purpose. We didn't get these lessons when we were drinking. We only got them when we had to stop drinking. So, bottom line is, in AA, some people you may not like. If you like everybody in AA, the saying is you're not going to enough meetings. If you like everyone in AA, you're not going to enough meetings. It's principles before personalities. When I find myself going for the wrong reasons, aka because there's good-looking girls at this meeting, but not that meeting, that's something I learned from Relapse too. I was going to meetings, to try to get my groove on with this or that. You know what I mean? And I learned principles before personalities. I used to know this hot chick, Jay says, who would drive around to us younger homeless dudes in our early mid-20s, and she was just looking for a man. Every one of us at one point had slept with her and left. Okay. She was too clingy. All she wanted was for us to stay in the house. That's literally it to do nothing but stay in the house, and this was actually a very beautiful girl. Okay. I would do anything to find that girl nowadays. Wouldn't even know where to look. Okay. Well, that is a very... Well, thank you for that story. That was a great story, dude. Oh, man, that was amazing. Can you tell it again? Do you have time? I'm just kidding, bro. It was just random, that's all. I can relate when you said you found AA like clicky or whatever. As soon as I realized that it that it was me that was making that projection, that illusion faded. Birds of a feather will flock together. That's nature. So, but I'm sticking to the people with long-term sobriety, and that's usually the older folks. I also have found that older folks have lived a lot of experience, so they have a lot of wisdom. I want that wisdom. I'm not going to get that from... Rarely do you find a 20-year-old who has figured life out. They may think they have, and that's even more annoying. And I was the same way. It's just the way nature goes. Yeah, see what I mean? In hindsight, you learn things. Well, look back at your relapse. Look back at the time before your relapse and figure out what were you doing and what weren't you doing that you could refrain from doing or that you could do to not relapse again. Well, you learn, Taj, we go for ourselves in the beginning. But as we gain our lives back and receive the gift of sobriety and recovery, we begin to realize that giving it away is the only way to keep it. So, you know what I mean? I'm getting sharper and sharper at not going to AA meetings for the wrong reasons. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll go to an AA meeting because I don't want to face cleaning my house and shit. So, sometimes I'll be lonely. I'll be like, I need a girlfriend. There's a really cute girl that goes to this meeting way across town. I'm going to do that. But I'm getting really, really good at stopping myself. If I'm not going to a meeting to listen to their experience, strength, and hope and offer my own, if I'm not going to a meeting to experience a big book meeting, if I'm not going to an AA meeting to receive the AA gift, then I don't need to go because I'm already in relapse. You know what I mean? Principles before personalities. That means the 12 principles of AA. If you're not living those, if you're letting personalities get in the way of honesty, hope, faith, courage, integrity, willingness, humility, love, discipline, perseverance, spirituality, or service. If you're letting personalities get in the way of those things, then you're on your way to a relapse. That's what I've learned, and it's been a long time coming. I've had a lot of experience. I'm not bragging, I'm just verifying or credentialing myself, so maybe you will listen. But I've tried it a bunch of other ways. Daryl says everyone that tries making money off 12-step work lives end up in a bad way. 12-step work lives. I'm not sure I know what you mean, Daryl. click stuff. Yeah, there's clicks. There's clicks everywhere. There's clicks at work. There's clicks at school. There's clicks anywhere there's a social group. You can bet there's going to be clicks. Birds of a feather flock together. However, if there's something bothering you about the outside world, it's not in the outside world that the problem lies. It's in you. It's not the situation itself that's bothering you. It's your projection and your perception of it, which we have the ability to change. We can't change that annoying little clique over there that never really accepted me, and you don't know why. And your teenage self is coming back and haunting you like, you'll never be accepted. You'll never be in the cool people. You'll never be this. You'll never be that. I didn't even realize, but I am the cool people. You know what I'm saying? My addiction has been telling me all my life that I'm never accepted in the cool crowd. I am the cool crowd. I don't give a fuck. They're trying to be like me. Is what I've discovered. You know what I'm saying? Humility is cool, man. Honesty is cool, man. It's cool. Being a human, walking around comfortable in your own skin is cool, man. I mean, that's real deal cool, and it can't be faked. The funk of that cannot be faked. So, like, yeah, spiritual awakening, you wake up. You know what I'm saying? Well, thanks. I was just kind of making a point. You discover how awesome you are, and when you discover how little you are, the more humble you become, the more awesome you are. Counterintuitively and paradoxically, the more humble you become, the more awesome you are. Wise people, aka older people, used to tell me this. Sit down, be humble. You know what I mean? An old guy named Kendrick Lamar in a nursing home told me that. Sit down, be humble. And, what do the old people say? In order to keep it, you got to give it away. Be humble. Be kind. Help others. This is from a lifetime of living, and we don't want to listen. I'm like, well, how is helping somebody else going to help me? Because I know. I have the foresight to see. I can tell the future. And that's just, it's unfortunate, but when they say youth is wasted on the young, that's what they mean. That's what they mean. When we're young, we are lacking experience enough to have wisdom. The way I see it, there's two ways to wisdom. There's age, living it, being 80 years old, you have gained a lot of wisdom. It's just something that happens. Or pain, aka you touch a hot stove once, you don't touch it twice. That's wisdom. But either way, it takes time. Bonnie was with the cool clique in high school. They were the drinkers. Sadly, some of them have since passed due to alcoholism. Others are struggling. Yeah, I've never... You know where I do fit in? Alcoholics Anonymous. It doesn't matter what clique is doing what, or wearing what, or trending what, or doing whatever. If you're practicing the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous, and you are a servant to alcoholics, you are honest, open, and willing, and humble, and the highest position in AA, and I've heard this said, the highest, most honorable you can get is being humble and serving others. Alcohol makes you fat, or me at least, so there's that. Bonus of yeah, most definitely. My sister quit drinking 4 months ago, and she's looking a lot better. Alcohol has sugar in it, and slows down your metabolism. And, alcohol has sugar in it. You will get fat drinking. You will lose weight when you stop. You ever seen a tall, thin man with a gut? It's not pretty. But that was me certain times of my drinking days. So yeah, your addiction will tell you, I don't like AA because there's cliques. Your addiction will tell you, I don't like AA because they're all assholes, they're holier than thou. The clique thing is true no matter where you go. But not no matter which meeting you go to. More meetings, and this is what we call good meetings. That was a good meeting. I like that group. That's a good group. And they get popular because the principles are practiced. That means there's kindness, love, and tolerance. There's no cool crowd. It's just, we are alcoholics, you know what I'm saying? And there's people of all walks of life. I counted damn near 100 people at this meeting. My home group, actually. I've seen it over the past 13 years. I've seen it with like 12 people in it. I've seen it with like 100 people in it. It's just something to experience. There's different meetings. That's the value of 90 meetings in 90 days. Experienced alcoholics will tell you when you're coming in, you're coming off a bender, you're coming off a relapse, do 90 meetings in 90 days. And every alcoholic in the history of all alcoholics has said something like, 90 meetings in 90 days? That's a meeting a day. And every experienced alcoholic in recovery will tell them a form of a version of this sentence. Well, you drank every day, didn't you? Well, then you can go to a meeting every day. If you made it to the liquor store every day, you can make it to an AA meeting. But they tell you to go to 90 meetings every. One of the reasons is, obviously, you're not going to be going to the same meeting, because an alcoholic like myself, or maybe like you, or like every alcoholic in the history of alcoholics, will go to an AA meeting and pick it apart for all that sucks about it. That's why they say you recognize the similarities in others in the rooms and not the differences. Because the alcoholic, the addict in us, will pick apart that meeting so we never go back again. That's our addiction, trying to get us the hell out of that room, because with that room, if you stay in that room, your addiction will shrink and shrivel and be a weakling. Your addiction wants to remain powerful. Your ego, your addiction, yourself will lie to you and tell you to get the hell out of there. There's nothing but lamos in here. This is a cliquey joint. These are holier than thou, motherfucker. This is a cult. This is a religious cult. Blah, 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 blah. They're all lies. Your addiction doesn't want to be in that room. Your addiction cannot stand Alcoholics Anonymous. It's its worst enemy. So it's going to tell you, this place is lame. Never going back. Well, this is when when we're desperate enough, we start taking the suggestions of those that have come before us. And they say go to 90 meetings in 90 days. And trust me, there comes a time where you're as desperate as, if you say so, I'll do it. You do it, you start to find out, oh, this meeting wasn't like yesterday's. Then the next day you go and it's like, well, this meeting's totally different. Oh, this meeting's Ebony group. That's, black people, African Americans, which I'm always welcome. It don't matter. But, there's themed groups and they all have their names. As we found it, traditional. The only requirement. These are names of groups. Sufficient substitute. Well, they all have names, but like the traditional group will, they named their group because they're going to stay true to the traditions. As We Found It group is going to basically, as I found the solution, that's what we talk about here. And that's the solution in the book. As we found it, that's what we're going to keep it as. You know what I mean? And each group is different. Not drastically different. They all have the same format, the AA format. You get in, you sit down, you try to come early, help with anything you can to get out of your mind. Working with making the coffee, setting up chairs, greeting people at the door, it don't matter. Offer your service. You're now a person of service. You're not self-serving. This does for us miracles. It gets us out of our head. We're no longer thinking of self, we're thinking of others. It's introducing us to our new way of life. Then, right there on the dot, if the meeting starts at noon, you'll hear it. And everybody will stop talking and stuff, because sometimes it gets loud in there. We are not a glum lot. When meetings happen, this is a meeting, your family is in there. My family's in my home group. Like straight up and down, sometimes they're more family than my own family is. So you're having fun. Sometimes you can be feeling shitty and somebody will ask you how you're doing. And, well, anyway, the meeting will start. The chairperson will read certain things and the format will be generally the same, but they all have slightly different vibes. So if you don't like one meeting, then don't say, I don't like AA. Say, I don't like that meeting. Breakfast for dinner. I'm at that place you must know. Head full of AA, belly full of booze. AA will ruin your drinking. That's for you. That's another saying. AA will ruin your drinking for you. Once you start going to AA, if you're drinking, you're going to feel a little guilty about it. Because AA is the truth, and what you're doing is lying to yourself. And that's basic. AA will ruin your drinking for you. Yes, that is a saying. And that is a blessing. Your new life will cost you your old one. The only price you have to pay for your new life is your old one. Hand it over. You don't like it anyway. If you want what we have, you do what we do. If you want what you have, you continue to do what you do. The cost of your new life is your old one. Give it up. When you relapse, they understand. They say, welcome back. Keep coming back. I hope to see you at the next one. Here's my number. Here's a big book. I suggest you read it. It's what I did. Here's my experience. You want to get some coffee? I'll tell you my experience. There is love and tolerance, experience, strength, and hope in those rooms. And that's my new way of life. Some people will say, you're giving up one addiction for another, AA. I'm like, I'm good with that. AA doesn't get me arrested. AA doesn't have me, acting a fool. AA doesn't have me driving drunk, get me in the hospital. Booze does. I'll be happy to trade booze for AA. And that's essentially what it is. You have a new way of life. It's no longer about yourself. It's about others, and it's about the way of recovery. And relapses begin to happen less and less if they happen often. Some people come into AA, pick up one white chip, and that's it. They never drink again. Their spiritual awakening has happened. That wasn't the case for me. And that's okay. I am unique just like you are. We're not that unique though. We're not too unique for the solution. We're just different people, every single one of us. is either subtly different or a lot different. That's why you go to different meetings, you find your people. All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping by Breakfast for Dinner. And everybody, there's Holly. Hey, Holly, Miss Hashtag Holly Ford. Hi. Gonna sign off, but thank you for being here tonight and logged off. Zoom AA came here instead. Don't do that. Sober James won't keep you sober. AA will. AA won't keep you sober. Here's the deal. AA works if you work it. Kind of like booze gets you drunk only if you drink it. AA will only work if you work it. Kind of like booze will only get you drunk if you drink it. It's not AA that's going to get you sober. It's you working AA. It's not booze that's going to get you drunk. It's you drinking booze. Without you, AA doesn't work. Without you, booze doesn't work. You see how that works? So people will go into an AA meeting, sit there, not say anything, not listen to anything, and walk out and be like, that sucks, AA didn't work. Of course it didn't work. AA is a program that you work if you want it to work for you. What up, Shades? This is the end of the stream. We're almost here an hour and a half. How are you doing, though? We're talking about relapse being it can be a part of recovery if you learn from it. Our mistakes, if we don't learn from them, we are doomed to repeat them. And if you got an argument for that, I'd love to hear it, but we don't. It's the truth. Historically, if we don't learn from our mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them. Stressful day at my sister's. Dog ran away last night. We just found him a few hours ago. Damn. Jet ran away, or your dog's? Or your sister's dog? That sucks. Oh, because of the fireworks? Motherfucking humans. Can't stand. I'm embarrassed to be a human sometimes. I'm glad you found him too. He ran away because of the fireworks. You don't even have to tell me. I already know, and it's super sad, and it pisses me off, and I hate human beings sometimes. I'm a misanthrope. I'm embarrassed to be a human being. All right, y'all. I'm working tomorrow night and the night after. My life is slowly coming back to me. So I got a part-time job at a zoo, which I absolutely love because I kept an open mind and did the next right thing and didn't question it and went through with it anyway. And turns out I love it. AKA, I don't know ever what I want. Oh, don't tell me these things, Miss Ford. I posted in my community tab pictures of the copperhead that bit my girl. I'm going to one-up your story right now, Miss Ford, because my ego is telling me to. No, I just want you all to know a short story about how my dog being bit by a copperhead and what I did and how you could do it too if your dog's bit by a venomous snake. Now, fortunately for my girl, which is my dog, a copperhead is rarely fatal, but extremely painful. But unfortunately, things like rattlesnakes are definitely worse. But check out my community tab if you'd like to see pictures and hear the short story of my girl being bit by a copperhead. All right, y'all. I will see you Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and every weekday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Addiction recovery. If this stream brought you value, give it a thumbs up. If it didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you liked it and you got something from it, share it with someone you love. If you hated it and you didn't get shit from it, share it with someone you hate. And check out that join button for the symbiotic relationship that could happen between the two of us. And until Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, just like every weeknight, keep it clean, keep it real, keep doing the damn thing, but only if it's in line with God's will. Peace.